What's the deal? Why does my picture not show in my profile? That makes 0 cents. Alright, let's start up with the game in just a little moment. Oh, I just really hate the timing. Why the timing? I'm gonna have motors and things all up inside of the recording. So terrible. Alright, we are here. We have control of the situation. We're in those screen settings. That's we are chilling. Alright. It looks like the invading individuals with their motors and stuff have moved along. I can play some game. I can do what I want to do. But what's going on, guys? It could really only be one man. The Kama's God, Hachiro 20, Hachiro Mangetsu. That boy coming at you with a little bit of some of this radiant. Some of you may know what this game is. It's basically like Galaga, but with more neon effects and things like that. There's plenty of different weapons and power-ups in it. It's pretty fun. It's something I usually play when I was at a previous job. I got this game and I would just kind of play it. As you can see, I got a pretty decent score on it. I ended up beating this first invasion part, but I'm going to play through it again here for the screen and just kind of show you how the game is played. Like I said, some of you may know about this game, but I'm mostly making this stream for the purpose of just talking about some stuff that I really want to just kind of talk about, and just some stuff that's been kind of really on my mind for a long time. It's kind of been a huge mental drag and just kind of keeping me from doing a few more things that I've been wanting to do. Where we're at basically is, you know, a number of things behind the scenes have happened since, you know, a series of different other actions that came before it occurred. And I don't know how much of it I really care to share on stream, because there's quite a lot of it. A bit of it's pretty sensitive. I really don't know how I'm gonna come with like a lot of this, but I'm just kind of hoping I can ease into sharing as much of this as possible, uh, as what I can, really. But for the most part, to kind of tell exactly what this is about, uh, it primarily concerns uh, my crew, Outcast Moon. Now, there are some individuals within the scope of what I'm talking about that have done no harm and have no no involvement in any of what I'm going to speak upon. But essentially, the crew is kind of just in shambles at this point. I talked to a a few of the people still in the group, but a certain event triggered by a certain individual uh, pretty much led to a domino effect of a lot of different, just cause and effect situations where which we had people leave the crew and so many other things like it. I'm going to go through real fast. So I'm going to minimize the sound effects I can, because I just kind of find that to be a little bit annoying. I'll just go ahead and leave it like that. That should be good enough, I would say. Alright, let's continue. So the first bit of this is going to be some asteroid blasting. You see, you get the money here. This is just a real simple game. It's just something you just play on your break. Or right now when I just want to kind of talk about some stuff. But as I said, the crew is taking a lot of mental and, physical and, all types of things that has happened throughout the crew. Like, there are a long time of Warframe players and just playing other games together. Um, so even with the state of hard to completely bury it, I guess, is to just what I'm saying, if we just kind of all stop, communicating for the most part altogether. Uh, I don't know how much of that is so, because I never really pried uh, into clan relationships between all the other people within the group, uh, outside of whenever they were around me. Like, whatever they might talk about or whatever they do amongst themselves outside of, being around good old leader Son and Hachi. You know what I'm saying? Like how they act when the teacher's not in the room essentially is, to me, none of my business. So I never really pried into it, so I don't know if they really play games together or anything like that at this point. I know a lot of them recently are now 19 and 20 and 21, and some of them are a little bit older than that. But, watching so many of them as we connected through that platform that is Warframe, watching them go through their high school years, seeing them graduate and all that, and all the battles and everything that we fought against many notable names in the Conclave community uh, for 7 years before everything kind of like split off. I would say probably the first 3 to 4, maybe 5 years is when we were really seriously active, and I'm talking about the most famous rivalry that there is on PlayStation 4, in my opinion, which was Outcast Moon versus El Imperio. And that is when I would say was the highest peak of like, Outcast Moon's notoriety. Because of the fact that we grew so large in number, we had well over 300 people, and at least a third of which were steady or just kind of like at least, weekly Conclave players, Uh, we had a lot of good people out there in the forefront, and there was so many people who were like, "Oh man, you joined Outcast Moon? Wow, you must be different." You know what I'm saying? Like all this stuff like this. But the point of like that little bit of this is there was magnetism to my clan for many a years by many people in the Conclave community who joined up. Many notable names that you may think of, that you may have ran into, most likely at one point or another were and still part of the Outcast Moon PvP Warframe clan. Over the years, we definitely have become the most outstanding name out there, to the point where there were memes, there were a lot of people making videos about us, there were people over here slandering, you know, trying to dox and putting our real life out there into the world and all types of stuff. Like, we got popular enough to be hated, and that is a very important uh, piece of being a famous person, especially people out there in such an aggressive community as is the Conclave community of Warfare. People like to label the Conclave community as a small community, right? But I really don't think it is. It's more like a secret society. It's kind of like the tentacle, like, YouTube and universe. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's there, and everybody knows that it is, but they don't really talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody talks about Fight Club type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then the meme is always like, "Oh, people play Conclave," or like it's actually impressive how many people actually play, whether they're private matches or public. Uh, you may see a lot of the same people every day, but like when you get into a public match. But my point here is just basically like, the community, especially when it comes to YouTube. If you just give it 1 second to just search, there's a lot of people out there who have played Conclave and uploaded videos and content that just fly under the radar compared to, the notoriety that I received as a player. People who probably didn't get as many subscribers or nearly as many like uploads or views that I did on my Conclave content. You know what I'm saying? But those people should be known and respected. And so this man, the Commerce God, does tip my hat to you for, at least being out there to, try and make a way for this community to be out there. You know what I'm saying? So the next thing I like to talk about is, of course, the enemies, the rivalries, and the animosity that is in the Conclave community. Let me just go ahead and just officially say, uh, for the viewers and for the VOD, I'll put this on record here, is that Outcast Moon, El Imperio, clans like people in Nemesis and, you know, and all of his crew, people like Ribium, all the individuals out there who make the cast, you know what I'm saying, like Okami, Darth Eskar, Gwenox, you know what I'm saying, everybody out in the PC community, I do still very much respect everybody who are playing their respective roles within, you know, the community. Whether you're a person who has aligned with the Hachi haters and the memers and all that shit, or whether you're actually trying to make a way for the community, be a community leader in this shit, stream regularly, put out content and actual fucking serial content too. I'm talking about on the level of what I have done, which is the sick Conclave raps. Uh, we're talking about best of records, caught in dirty work, every Warframe Conclave Life episode, the live streams, all that shit. We're talking about serial content, people who have actually put in real man hours to edit all of this shit, to go out there and fucking fight these matches day in and day out for hours at a time to create the content, and then burn their fucking eyes on these fucking Share Factory or fucking Final Cut or whatever the fuck you use, right? You know what I'm saying? Nobody out here to me, whether I consider you an enemy or not, if you have sat here and put in hours in Conclave, I respect you. Because that shit is not as fucking known as it should be. And people have hustled. People have fucking literally suffered fucking mental and physical strain. Fucking the rivalries, the uploads, the all of that shit, you know what I'm saying? The docs and people have fucking done this shit. So like, you know what I'm saying? Even like I said, like people like Ripium who has been literally fucking stealing my content or fucking my likeness and all type of shit for fucking years. Alright. It's outrageously toxic. But you know what I'm saying? It's still fucking man hours. You know what I'm saying? He committed himself wholly to being my fucking enemy, whether or not I actually asked him at one point or another during our long careers that we should just stop all this dumb shit. We actually pulled up in our chat one time and I tried to fucking actually talk to this nigga, right? And say, like, listen, you know, we both been out here for a really long time. How about we just cut the shit as like veterans and just fucking let bygones be bygones, and you know, and we talked for a very long length about like, you know, various players, things that I've done, things that he's done. I don't have to chat anymore because this is a long time ago, but I think even he may remember that we did at one point sit down and actually have a real conversation about Conclave and all this other shit, right? That did indeed take place. And that's something that's not really known to the community at large. But we did indeed try to solve our differences, but we just can't really see eye to eye on a lot of things. All right. So, you know, he played his respective role as my enemy, and I played my respective role of resisting it. So there it is. You know what I'm saying? Everybody had their fucking role. I don't care if you want to think I see this as an anime or whatever the fuck. You know? Uh, I really like the plasma gun in this game. It's actually one of the better weapons. Um, Disruptor laser is probably Ichiban, the best one up in that bitch. Uh, yeah, I think I'm gonna start off getting the Disruptor laser like I usually do, because it just straight cuts right through people. You know what I'm saying? It's freaking brilliant. You'll see, it's just like it's got punched through like a mug, so like you can multiple enemies. The Vulcan cannon is still good, but ooh, let me pay attention a little bit because, like, you know, I'm trying to talk. But I don't know if, well, I could say that, you know, I can definitely play while talking. It's not something I'm unable to do, but, you know, for this game, there's probably a few more parameters that, you know, but yeah. As I was saying, you know what I'm saying, everybody had their respective roles in Conclave, you know, whatever they was fucking doing, you know what I'm saying? So I remember pretty much everybody that I've ever faced. I remember pretty much everybody that I've ever recruited in the clan, that I've made videos around and done various like collaborations and all types of work with. Now, the one thing that is most pertinent to the fact that the crew has become part of the the shambles arc where everybody's kind of separated is because of a more recent acquisition to our clan by the name of Prince Saunders, whom I pretty much raised on my entire freaking 7 to 8 years of experience in the Warframe Conclave community and in the PvE community as well. Uh, I showed this man the ropes from the very first instant. An individual named Plug Shooter, who was in the rifle clan at the time, El Imperial, happened to be in the match. Me and him were kind of going back and forth, killing and talking to each other. They happened, Prince and another individual who joined our group, an exceptional member at that time, uh, by the name of Jay Z. Both he and Jay Z came into the match, and this was one of the very first times, if not, I think the first time, that they dared to venture out of recruit conditioning and see what the bigger scene, the professional scene of Conclave actually looks like, because the two are surprisingly and staggeringly different. So they come into the match, they see what we're saying in the chat, and I'm basically, arguing my point of why Outcast Moon is like, should be considered, one of the if not the most forward leading clan to ever exist in the PvP community, whether that's PS4 or otherwise in the entirety of itself. Um, and what I'm saying, Plugs was defending why he should just consider continue using cheese, and just kind of we were just going back and forth about our ideals as Conclave players to basically say. And when they came into the match, they saw us, like I said, we were arguing and everything, and they pretty much right on the spot decided to join us right there. Like after hearing, my side of, how I view Conclave and its community, how I upload, and seeing the whole backing of like, at this now current time about good 50 to 100 people who are actively in the Outcast Moon clan. You know what I'm saying? And the match is already pretty much majorly dominated by Outcast Moon as it is. And we're in the chat party, so like, what I'm saying, we were just out there, what I'm saying? Like that was us. We were doing our fucking thing, we were showing out. And we ended up picking up Jay Z and Prince on this pretty much on that same day. Oh, that's actually cool. But uh essentially after that point, I want to say that was 2 years ago now, which is crazy because they were part of our crew. At least Jay Z was around for at least Gretchen. Yeah, Jay Z was around for about 8 or 9 months, and I heavily endorsed his channel. I went into the Discord for Conclave, that is pretty widely known, as I would say. And to just kind of like piggyback off of that is like, I have to then shout outs to, the Conclave Discord, Conclave community and all that. Uh, while there are some heads in there that are definitely, not the most savory individuals, uh, for the most part, that is a very good community resource for new and veteran players, and I can say nothing against that. You know what I'm saying? That it's a very well established and uh, inclusive and pretty uh, in-depth community with like calculations, and you can pretty easily find people to fight and that type of thing. So there's that. But to go back to my point is that Jay Z, while he is no longer uh, uh, with the crew, he's just kind of, in a way, it's kind of beautiful the way he kind of like spontaneously just kind of disappeared. And he did a lot of good things for both himself and the Outcast Moon crew, and represented our name very well while he wore our clan emblem. Made a lot of very good content, and I will put him in the description of this live stream to show you guys his channel. Uh, and you can see that he played at a very uh, not professional level. He was proficient with a lot of weapons and all that. He was a really diamond in the rough acquisition that nobody would have otherwise known about if he wasn't brought up uh, into the public community at large, and then after that being put into a clan so high profile as Outcast Moon that he couldn't help but get exposure from that. And that's, you can say whatever the fuck you want about Outcast Moon, but have you not, whenever you heard somebody join this clan, you're right on them. You want to know all about him. You want to see who this man is. You know what I'm saying? And you might have actually come to like a good few of the people that have walked through our doors. Another one of them who kind of got in bed with the PC community in the later on sense was people like Kasumi and Mike the King, because of their direct association with Outcast Moon, whether it turned out to be animosity or not, the influence and the exposure that they were able to achieve by even touching the grass outside of my fucking clan and local dojo, enough to have people talking about them. People wanting to meet them and, train with them, whatever the hell they wanted to do. But some of these names, as I have said, would not have been known as easily or as immediately or as in such a high profile if they had not walked through my doors or communicated to me in some sense. Now, some people may try to say this is ego or some shit like this, but I'm pretty freaking responsible for a good number of Conclave players out there in the community. Some of which, again, that you actually know and love or know just very well enough. Or maybe you're enemized with them as well. Who knows? But you can bet that a good number of the majority of the community, people who have come and gone or have stayed around through the entire course of everything, know my name. Whether you bass-mouth it or you love it. Whether you watch my content or you dislike it, you knew who I was. You knew who Outkast Moon was. And so, like I said, with Prince and Jay-Z, they got exposure that they would otherwise have not have gone on to make content that they otherwise would not have made because of their influence from this crew. Now, to talk again about the individual Prince Thomas, who very explosively betrayed everything that I did for him. All of the exposure and all that stuff that I gave him, vast wealth of knowledge in DMs and all this stuff that I still have to this day, that we talked about for at length. Party chats that we've just sat in for like hours, and 1v1s that we've attended and everything like this, wherein which I demonstrated to him skill with many of weapons, not just my comments. And he knows this. This nigga got his ass kicked by my Cernos or my comments. Whether it was a fucking bow prime or my ogres. I've whooped them down with pretty much everything in my arsenal. Whether it was for training or in a public match. Whether it was as my enemy or as just some other person in the game. This guy was out there and he absorbed a vast amount of my knowledge and tutelage, which he then went on to go to PC with and represent himself well. And why? Because he took in the vast knowledge of somebody who is actually out there. I don't care what anybody wants to say about my skill level or about whatever the hell I've accomplished in the Conclave community. I have been a very well known, wisdom filled individual because I've been blessed with knowing a lot of very good individuals at the game who knew what the fuck they were talking about. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about Riggs, Saberhouse, Loco Boy, Stallion, all those people who I met in the very beginning when I was still an upstart, just swinging some damn Cronin in the match, just shooting some Soma with a broken ward. I wasn't nothing. All right, and these people happened to come to me and just put me up to the test, and I passed against them. And so what that ended up being is that eventually, I found the dual commas when Trinity Prime first came out, and they came right to me as if they were just a weapon that I was meant to have. I got every part on the first try. Oh, there's about to be an explosion. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, that was satisfying as hell. Mega blast and like mega flare from the motorized objects that come back in full force. But I will continue talking no matter what. I really don't want to put you guys through that. Any people who watch the VOD or come by, don't want to put you guys through that. So I do think I should just go ahead and take my mic off of there. And you guys can just enjoy the gameplay for a little while. Oh, I thought it was safe, but I really just want to kind of keep speaking about a number of things before I kind of like lose the track of what I was talking about. But I believe I was still on the subject of Prince Softness, and I want to kind of dive deeper into why, he ended up again leaving the group. And it was because of the fact that we had a little bit of an argument related to something that I kind of don't want to touch on due to certain constraints. Like, I can't really talk about certain things on screen, that type of thing. But um, suffice it to say that we had a difference of opinion on a very minor thing, to be honest with you. Uh, the bulk of which is like I was kind of talking about myself and like kind of where I was at mentally and just where I was, and we were kind of comparing life at the moment. He was kind of going through some stuff. I'm not gonna lie to you, and he ended up having to stay in a hotel, which I did give him just a little bit of money here and there to kind of float by, do whatever he needed to do with it. But that's not of any of my concern. I really don't care about the odd $20 or something like that. I just really don't. Because to me, there's no debt between friends. But I digress. He was kind of in a bad situation. I was kind of saying, before the thing happened, is that I basically said like, here you are at like 19, and I know you're going through some stuff like, but I'm about to be 30, and I just want you to know that it gets worse. And right now, I can definitely say that I'm at a point of pain greater than yours, because in between this, a little bit before, I would say it was either hours or maybe a whole day between this, but I had just broken up with the girl that I was dating uh, at that time. And I don't even want to really say that we were dating because honestly it was complete and total bullshit, but I'll get to that a little bit later. Um, but for all intents and purposes, we indeed were pretty close in the clan. Like we would run a lot of missions and everything like that. Uh, but sadly, a little bit before our clan anniversary, which happens in April, on April 23rd, we ended up breaking up a little bit after this, and we stopped really hanging out with each other. And so when I came to Prince about this, it was like this was still kind of fresh. Like it only happened between 24 to 48 hours ago. Like I just, stopped. We separated. We stopped wanting being close like that. Uh, and you know, I was already kind of like on the decline with financial wise. I was kind of definitely in a tight spot, and a lot of things were happening to me at once. And I'm not gonna lie to you, what I'm saying? It was crippling me mentally for a while. Uh, I definitely broke down a few times, and I definitely felt the weight of what like real life is. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, you don't get that through the computer screen. When you're just playing with these people in the party. You know what I'm saying? But me and the clan, we were all pretty tight, and so like we would, assist each other with money and all types of things. You know what I'm saying? To keep each other afloat, and that was a really beautiful thing. You know what I'm saying? Like at some point or another, that also became a little bit of a thing of like eventually like uh, it wasn't the concern of like the amount of money or anything like that. It was more of like when shit hit the fan, it was a very easy thing to go to. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, but I gave you money and all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it ends up being the ruin of like everything when you just focus on just that. You know what I'm saying? When we had years of history before you guys even got your first jobs and everything like that, that where in which I was you know spending my hard-earned and money to buy plat for you and prime accesses and things like this, and didn't even bat an eye to it. You know what I'm saying? There's no debt. There's no like constraints like that between close friends like the way we were cruising on a whole decade nearly of like knowing each other. It was a very, very long time. Some of us known each other before the clan was actually created. Outcast Moon was actually first created with the dojo and everything like that. Some of us knew each other months before, even a year before it. So good 8 years of just like, or for some even 9, of just like knowing these people. And like I said, I watched them age up. Some of these people, for the majority, I watched them age up out of high school, get their first jobs, buy their own game consoles and their games, and all that type of thing. I watched it all happen. And like I said, that's a wonderful thing to witness. You know, I watched them graduate, go through breakups, their birthdays, big moments within games, and just so many memories. And to for somebody like Prince, you know what I'm saying, to not be able to understand that, to be like fly off the handle in that such way, the way that he did, not necessarily in verbatim, but after I said basically the equivalent of Payne's famous line, "My pain is far greater than yours," this man went on a tangent. He said like, "You're going through all this stuff right now because of this girl, and like, you're just acting this way because of that." And like, basically, my reply to him before he actually left the crew, and to this next bit in a second, but like, uh, my reply to him right there in that party was like, "Listen, like, you had no right to say that just now." And I really could just pray to God that, me being the pain and like just mental anguish and everything over a chick, I wish it was really that simple. You know what I'm saying? I really wish that, I was truly just that was the only singular freaking problem in my life was a bitch. You know what I'm saying? I really wish that that was the case. All right, but it wasn't. Running this crew for like 7, 8 years, being out there in so many conclave matches where I represented myself for the most part, even with the crew. You know what I'm saying? I went into a lot of games by myself, with and without them, and before I even made the crew. I've been representing myself for a long time, and I kept the name of Outcast Moon alive, and you know, pushed the brand, and made sure people knew our fucking names for that entire time. I'm talking about like all the clan member themes and featuring them in the best of wreckage openings, and you know promoting their channels, which are all still there on my page, and I will never delete. You know what I'm saying? We even collabed on music. You know what I'm saying? We collabed on music. We created our own soundtracks and stuff like this. We did a lot of things together as this crew. And, that, like I said, that's hard to just kind of forget. And I would never, you know, piss on any of that. Because, like I said, there's too much hours of time and everything separate than what actually occurred within those days and stuff like that. You can't, like, the two things are, different from each other. Uh, the amount of betrayal that, Prince went to go and make a video such as the one that he did, where he publicly displayed my Discord messages to uh, one and several other people, including the girl that I had dated, made a video trying to out me as a pedophile for dating a woman who is legally an adult. Uh, and then several other things like this. When it made a whole rap video that wasn't even really all that good. Let me just kind of say that and be real. I've heard the stuff that you have made, Prince. Like, I've heard whether it was like soundtrack or anything like that. When you tried to diss me right there, I'm just gonna say it like it is. That it wasn't your best work, and I showed it to a good number of people out there, and it was like it was just too focused. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're trying too hard to diss me on the topic matter that you was going for. That the whole track itself didn't really quite come together. And I'm not talking about like this as a person like the comments got or anything. I'm talking about this as like a musician and a person who actually listens to your shit. All right, and you know that I actually will on this matter. Whenever you had a new track, whenever you had some ideas for lyrics, I would listen to you. That we was doing this, bro. You know that we was, and you threw all that shit away. All that shit. So much potential, bro. And now look at what's happened to your channel. It's pretty much dead. There is a long-standing myth Like, I wouldn't even say it's a myth. That's probably the wrong word for it, but it's probably more. I would say it's closer to a curse, a guarantee, an assured reality that most people who have gone on to resent or stand out against Outcast Moon, whether out by our hand or just autonomously, have fallen off the map. They just don't even last anymore because all they do then is start coming with content that's focused solely on my fucking self and my crew. And then their content ends up being stale, repetitive, and nobody wants to fucking watch it. Which is why people like Ribium will get their little shine for their little diss videos and things like that. But it'll never last. It's ephemeral and it doesn't work to keep focusing on people and name dropping them. That's just not how. It's not the way. Unless you're keeping it variety, like you're coming with different people that you're talking about, instead of riding the dick of one single individual out there. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't work. You sat there and you tried to target my name, and you've even heard me say this yourself. You've heard me say it in parties around when we very first met. You've seen like the videos that other people have made, and you have then seen how they have gone on to be no more. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't last doing that type of shit, bro. What if I was to have done that shit? Do you think people have continued to watch me? You know, continue to see and look at my videos if I was just only talking about Rivian, right? You see how dumb that sounds by that logic? I could if I was to keep targeting the nemesis of my entire career for my entire career, all right, just I don't think I would have lasted, right? So that's basically my take on that. Is that he made a critical error of thinking that that was going to be the way, and didn't continue to keep up on his own thing. It would have worked better if he would have kind of made a video like that, right? And just kind of used the hype from it to then, uh, you know, elevate his own content. This is something that Rivium and a couple of other people did well enough. They started rivalries with me and other high profile people and then kept it pushing, right? They kept it pushing, right? They kept doing their own shit so people like Okami and watching who've like had like this or that little fucking little rows with me, arguments, right? They didn't make it like they whole life mission to stay on my dick and like, sit there and like milk the beef between the Commons God for that long. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't do that, and that was a very important distinction. You know, like I like that Okami, started his beef with me and then continued to just put out his own content. He just kept it moving after that. He didn't see it as something like he had to make his whole life mission out of. If he saw me in the match, sure, he would probably talk some shit, or maybe he'd focus me or something like that. But he wouldn't be coming out like with freaking videos like every 5 seconds talking about, oh, Hachi is trash, or this type of thing. He just kind of kept it within whatever Discord community it was where I couldn't see it, or he fucking like, what I'm saying, just kind of had his little one-off with me, and it never ballooned into something to the degree of what Ribium and some other people did. All right, and El Imperial, all of them. Like, I think even El Imperial could have lasted a lot longer if they would have just kind of knew when to stop, realized that they weren't going to take us off the map, and just kind of kept it pushing. Because that's another thing I can kind of say is that there was no fucking way that Outcast Moon in any fashion was going to fall off the map through the actions of anybody but probably ourselves. Like pretty much only we were going to be responsible for our own demise. And that's pretty much what happened. It's like we just kind of stopped talking and all that type of stuff. We're not really seriously in party chats and you really probably haven't really seen any of our names in Conclave matches for probably some time. And that may be due to the fact that, I don't particularly play many Conclave matches anymore either. Some people may have been lucky to have seen me in there maybe about a week and a half back. I did hook up my PS5 and take some time to just play one or two matches, but I didn't really see anybody particularly high profile in there when I played. So it was a kind of little bit of a dull match. I was kind of hoping to, surprise some people after, being gone for like 3 months, finally, because I really have never been gone from Conclave this long. Uh, there was a couple of times where I did get banned by something like, because that was another thing that was kind of heavy during the El Imperial Wars, was that some people were throwing out like false, even like legal bans on accounts, and like people were like being banned from playing Warframe or their PlayStation account, for that matter, for probably months on end. And some people even earn lifetime bans because like they just El Imperial is they pretty were actively toxic, not just to myself, but many other people uploaded, thanks to our influence and me urging the community to do so. Like, just like being like, hey, El Imperial is just toxic people. Like, they just jump everybody, what I'm saying? They were terrible people. And because of that, they just ended up burning themselves out. They didn't have anything else for themselves other than the rivalry that they created with me and the stupid bullying tactics that they had with other entities in the Conclave community. And so they weren't really destined to go anything further than the 2019 era, the golden age era of Conclave. Once the 2020s came in, that's when I think things changed the most. Is because like it started to be that PlayStation got more involved with talks with the PlayStation, the PC and Xbox community, thanks to the Conclave Discord. It was like, I think, something that I don't think was largely attended by the PlayStation community as much. Like, I don't think it was as active in there until like a certain year. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was mostly a PC thing, and I think even now I would say it's majorly a PC uh, Discord server. Even with as many PlayStation heads that are actually in there, it's kind of maybe lurk where they don't really actually be active. Uh, but yeah, I kind of lost my train of what I was saying right there, to be honest. But you know, let me see which weapon I want to put here. I probably just want to go ahead and get the plasma gun so I can hit some more people. But I also want to just, yeah, I got money to get both plasma. I'll make that level 2 right away. And we'll get an extra life too. Should be gravy now. This is strange. I got no visual on Terra Magna. The only thing I can see is an asteroid field. Those are no asteroids, Mac. Those are the very shards of Terra Magna. No! I just thought I'd try my hand in that just now. But, forgive silliness for one moment. Like I said, once 2020 came around was when my clan started to experience a little bit of that decline and a little bit of what, that Zoomer PC kind of like, you know, people who were like using the latest technology type. Like, we were kind of the crew that was the most popular when Conclave was coming up. And once they started really optimizing and like fixing a lot of stuff that we were good at, uh, it ended up being that, some of the stuff that we were good at got nerfed. And some of the stuff that was more meta and everything like got buffed, like pistols got buffed and, semis got buffed and, you know, charged weapons now have like an effective radius and fall off, and In some cases don't do as much damage as they used to. Our melee weapons and our stances have been changed around so aggressively that they don't even feel the same anymore. Uh, and we just experienced a decline of like weapon effectiveness because of the fact that we specialized in certain things. And that was ultimately what kind of killed our crew as Conclave. And then after that would probably be considered the incursion of PCs through the crop followed after a couple of years later. Now, this isn't to say that we weren't still effective on the battlefield. It was just that, we found a lot more tougher matchups in this day and age because of the fact that now we now have people on advanced uh, platforms and hardware and all this stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't as crazy back then as it is now. Like people over here moving with freaking over 300 FPS and like just aiming at us before we even got our gun up type stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm looking at their stats at the bottom of their videos, and they over here like heavy megahertz and all that like heavy hertz and all that and high FPS, and I'm over here like, dang, I'm still over here playing on 60 FPS or even 30 FPS on something on the console beforehand. You know what I'm saying? Barely got the ability to swing my camera as fast as what you doing on a PC, and it ended up being a tough thing for me to adjust personally in the beginning of things. It's like I had a lot of time where I was like kind of struggling to put together builds that were effective against these entities. But as with a good number of everybody, and that's El Imperial and all my other individual enemies that I fought included, I eventually made a build that was capable of at least standing up to, if not victory, proving victorious over some of these individuals. There is a saying that I've made in one of my songs long ago. I was like, it never matter what a 10 will put in front of me. If there ain't a terror that'll drop you, then there's gonna be. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe it took a week or maybe it took 3 months, but like eventually I made a build that was able to be like, "Gah, destroyed him." You know what I'm saying? Like, and it would end up being in best of records or one of my other individual uploads. You know what I'm saying? That's the one thing that, like, I think will never be able to be taken away from me as a career player is that I prove myself against notable entities and put in the work to eventually defeat them or be able to stand up to them. Like, I never really ran from anybody. Mind you, there were people who challenged me to 1v1s, but like I'm saying, like in a public match setting, you would very rarely see me rage quit. I would not be sitting there leaving matches. I would play those matches even if I was like 8-16. I'd go into a yet another match. These people know. Y'all enemies, y'all know. I never go nowhere. I stay for at least 3 to 5 matches every time. And y'all know this. Y'all can act like I'm some person like, but I freaking sat there and I kept trying every weapon set that I could before I finally left. Alright? You know what I'm saying? I sat there and I put in the freaking work to try and find something effective against you, and if I didn't have it, that's when I left. I was like, okay, clearly I ain't got nothing for this man's. I'm up out of there. You know what I'm saying? I don't sit there and like, you know, leave every single match that, I'm sitting here disadvantaged at. Like, I ain't never did that shit. Nobody in Conclave could ever call me a puss. Nobody could ever do that shit. I was never I was never a coward. Alright? For the most majority of my career, even people like Rivian, I sat in there and I took my lickings. I was in that match for the whole thing. Alright? I ain't leave that shit in no 2 minutes. Like, he's just cheating, he's cheating. No, I stayed in there for the whole thing. So not only just to show that like I had honor and resilience enough to sit there through a whole 10-minute match, taking a beating, if need be. You know what I'm saying? But I also want to show that I am no coward. This is even in real life. If a fucking big old hulking ass nigga tried to come up on at me, I'm still gonna try to punch him because there's always a chance, bro. You know, there's always a chance. Something can break on you. You are not immortal. You are another living entity like myself, and you can fall. So I will try as many times as it takes to find some way to defeat you. And if I just really couldn't, maybe it just wasn't me that's gonna take you out. That's just how it was. But like y'all know that I'll go in there and I take my lickings whenever I needed to in those matches. I wasn't running from nobody. There was points where it would be Hachiro versus freaking 7 PC players, and I'm still in that bitch, getting kills, doing what I gotta do. You know, there's a couple of more recent videos before I stopped playing that prove this. There's a Chroma video that I uploaded about 3-4 months back while I was still playing, and that was congested with PC players. Like I was pretty much, I think maybe one of maybe 2 or 3 other console players, PC or Xbox and PS4, Xbox, whatever. But it was majorly a PC match with a bunch of people flying around at friggin' 400 FPS, shooting me before I even I swear I went around in the door and around the corner. This man shot me apparently before I went through it. You know, I went through all that. I still sat out there with that Chroma and Phantasma, and must I tell you that I did do a pretty effective amount of damage to that matchup with that Chroma Phantasma and Vex armor. That shit was fucking glorious. You know what I'm saying? And which leads me to another point. I've made some very effective builds in Conclave that people have even gone on to take from me, steal, even cosplayed at one point. I swear to God, I can't make this shit up. People have literally fucking taken my Red Terror Excalibur and copied it beat for beat. Got my red color from the exact palette and everything. Got my Ogress with the skin and the fucking dual commas colored all correctly. I swear to God, people have done this shit. Did the whole shenanigans, okay? And, you know, went out there and either for sport to try and make fun of me or to try it and see how it was to be me. You know what I'm saying? Have gone out there to do these types of things, alright? Which proves in and of itself that I was an influential enough name, alright? But, you know what I'm saying? This is just where I'm at, you know? Mentally, it's like, you know, I've noticed how many precious hours and years of time and experience and you know resourcefulness and just generally listening to people. You know what I'm saying? And having that boots on ground approach, just like walking the streets and like talking to the individual. You know, and proving my case and point of why you should follow me and why you should, align to, what I've been doing. And there's like an undeniable amount of glib and charm that I've had in order to get people on my side. Which is why, again, as I said in the beginning of this stream, I don't know why motherfuckers were surprised that, people were continuing to join my clan even in this timeline. Sorry guys, I am a little bit sick. It's the cold season. And these things happen. I just got a little bit of a sore throat, but these things happen, like I said. But you know, I've said this in other videos too. It's like clearly, if I'm still getting members, If I'm still having people listening to my content and my videos, and you know what I'm saying, clearly I'm an individual who is more influential than you might believe, conceive, or perceive. You know, there was no way that I was going to continue to not be getting people if I didn't have an effective message, an effective plan, and effective leadership. All right, these people have come to me from everything from Conclave to their real lives. All right, I've been in their shit. All right, I know pretty much everything there is to know about pretty much everybody that has walked through the doors. And they've trusted me with that, and I will, like I said, I will never piss on that. You know, and that's why I'm so disappointed that the group has splintered off, and they've allowed real life to just dictate them. When it never really did before. You know, missing the clan anniversary and you know things like this. It was definitely appalling to me. And it's not like these things don't happen to the best of people. Whether they're close or not. You know, I guess in some certain sense, I thought our crew to just kind of be an eternal thing, like nothing would ever kind of like separate us, not life, not nothing else. And I think for the most part that may still be true. You know, uh, I don't really see the same commitment that used to be there from the crew there now. You or not. So for the most part, I kind of splintered back off from the Outcast movement as pertinent still exists, but we're just not out there as the unified group that we used to be. And I know that happens to the bedroom, whether somebody dies in it or arguments happen. You know, things don't always last forever. I was definitely a riding shogun type of person where I believed in the eternity of our group. We didn't have to change or anything like that. Whether way back in our party chats, I was like, hey, listen, you know, I want to be always, what I'm saying, sitting on a porch or something. And I still see all y'all out there doing your thing, talking to each other, and all that type of shit. Cause a lot of them when they were still young, some of them are my age, some not. But but pointing they all their lives, memories, and careers as gamers, and in many other facets of life, they trusted me in that shit, and I trusted them to see that type of thing happen. Like just long, everybody who watched. But alas, we're all kind of caught up in life. We're all trying to do something for ourselves. And like I said, it's understandable to one point or another. I don't think I really mentioned that yet, but like it's understandable from one point or another that, since they're still kind of young, they still want to kind of like plant their mark on society and, you know, do the same thing that I did growing up as Hachiro 20. I chose to be a Warframe player who, you know, went high profile and actually did something with themselves. And, that was my career path. That was what I had done. Alright? And they're just trying to identify themselves right now. It's something that, I understood for a while and knew was coming, eventually. Like I knew, they would have to, eventually be the students that left the classroom, the children that left the parents' house and, go out there into the world and label themselves, you know, create an identity. And they're not gonna do that just, staying underneath Outcast Moon's roof, you know what I'm saying? Like, just kind of ducking from reality, you know? Like I said, it's something that, I understood but just couldn't really fully accept at the time. It just felt kind of like, I was I was being betrayed, or like, they just weren't, you know, fucking with me anymore, and type of stuff, like, you can kind of see where I'm coming from though, but because, like, I took a lot of years out of my time. I pretty much spent my entire young adult career outside of just like working the 9 to 5s and all that type of stuff is running the clan. I met a lot of them while I was still working at Toys R Us way back when, and got my hands on Warframe, PS4. And so, I was still very young. Most of these people now know me, and I have some gray hair sprouting out of my stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've aged, and I've seen a lot in that time. That's something to be respected. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of experience to draw from that, and at one point or another, you have to just kind of, like I said, just respect that. I definitely did not waste any of the exposure that I got as a Conclave player. I made a lot of transformative content. I did my thing out there. I showed out. And I don't even know if it's all over. I don't know if I'm just going to end up going back out there in Conclave again and, continuing to do my thing. Who knows what the future holds, but, you know, as it is now, I showed up and I showed out. I showed everybody that, Hachiro 20 was going to be a name that you were going to remember, whether it was for my skill or for my rapping or, for my leadership as a clan runner and, all that. I just wanted people to remember the name. And I sure as fuck did that. That's for damn sure. Yeah, your cruncher ain't shit, bro. I took him out. Yeah, I took that. Yeah. Uh, I just want to take the time to just kind of vent out, you know, some of that. Because for a while, when when you just look back at like all that I've done, you go take a second. I challenge you to look at my channel and see all that I've done. You don't even have to click on the videos. Just go out there and just take a little scroll. You know what I'm saying? You see how much dedication and time I put into being a Conclave player, pushing for the community to stay together, and all this discussion videos and hip hop and making tracks supporting all the people who have supported me for a while, the Outcast Moon themes that have been made every year for a while. You know what I'm saying? I went out there and I did all that. I didn't waste Outcast Moon. I didn't waste my name as Hachiro 20 with the Commons God. And even now, I got people out there just kind of still knowing the name in other communities. You know, like, I'm starting to kind of become, you know, a well-known audience member in the VTuber community. People see me, they greet me with respect. They say, "What's up?" And I say the same. And I kind of just like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, just, it's all about respect at the end of the day, Even for the enemies, the people who put their time into this shit could never, ever be dissed, in my opinion. I can't do that. All the people out there on PC and PlayStation 5 who are still out there doing their thing, it's just mad respect, I sat out here for a while, just kind of talking about this here, and let me kind of see how long we've been going for. I'm gonna get another level to the. I want to save my money here. I'll leave it like that. Yeah, we're good. Okay. I was just making sure we're in real time. I'll buy one life and we'll work with it. But I definitely want to buy the Disruptor Laser new level. But this level of plasma will do just fine for now. The enemies will get just a couple more hits durable. I'll be able to take a bit more damage, so eventually we'll have to upgrade. But this is just, like I said, just somebody who's just kind of been out there for a while. Just that one guy's opinion, and after seeing everything, I saw Conclave from its beginning. I saw Warframe itself basically from the beginning. When Melee had stamina, arcanes, all that. Just I've seen it all. I watched the very best and the very worst of it. Like I fought enemies tougher than the people who think they're good now. You know, they think they're just the hottest shit on the planet. But I guarantee you I fought worse. And that's not to say that I can just easily defeat them or anything like that. It's just like I literally fought worse people, personality-wise, or whatever they brought into Conclave. I've seen so much worse. I bled hard to touch her dream. You know what I'm saying? I could definitely still be a name out there, even now, after being away from Conclave for a while. There hasn't been enough time, for people to have completely forgot who the fuck this is. When they see that red Excalibur and that Ogre's Fire, when they see me land with my signature dual blades on the battlefield, they know who this is. Let me try a little something. Is it going to, I guess not. But, I guess I'll just leave this on. We can go ahead and do what we have to. I want you guys to know that, you guys, the viewers, have been the most important, by and large. Watching all of those signature series and all the good moments that I played in Conclave. You know what I'm saying? My channel can be spoken to say, yeah, it's definitely gonna get in the way. Ouch. Yoink. Yeah, I just don't want you guys to see my finger popping up on the screen every 5 seconds. But, I may still be a small channel, but I'm just by no means a small name. A lot of people who have achieved fame don't really reflect it on the digital scale. Most of them are just people that, they're just street popular. And I don't mean to say just street popular as if it's just not a thing that's really of merit. I think it's a wonderful thing that you can be at that level where people just know you in your collective area. You know what I'm saying? Just you walk down the street, they know that's the Commerce guy because they see me. You know what I'm saying? They see my videos. I don't hide my face or anything like that. I'm not really scared of shit. Uh, and that's not to say it's acceptable to then just kind of spit on that and go out there and expose my personal information and shit like this and try to make life difficult for me on a realistic sense. Should never be that people make a mockery out of what you have done. Alright? And so, like, I've never, even if I've made a diss track about anybody, I've kept it within the pretense of Warframe and Conclave itself. I've never sat here and taken screenshots of them in real life or, exposed any of their information or, talked any shit about their real life like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not involved in the ex-girlfriend that you broke up with. I'm not sitting here telling everybody about the fact that you dated an 18-year-old, 19-year-old girl. I'm not sitting here, like, telling everybody fucking just, like, all your business and stuff like this. I'm not doing that. Because, like, at the end of the day, I only hate you as a Conclave player, not as a person. And I think a lot of people forget that whenever they get into beef, in the Conclave community, especially early on. I don't think it really happens as much anymore. Because, like, I think there's more restriction on it now. I think there's more ways to prevent people from doing it. And I think there's more ways for people to be punished for it. But back then, it was just very, very common for people to just involve every aspect of yourself. If you were a Conclave player, you had to be on your toes all the time. Like, if you were gonna try to go pro with it. Because people will try to freaking expose, embarrass, and discredit you for anything. They'll think you're the greatest godly player now, but as soon as you slip up one freaking time, then it's it for you. You can either swim with the fishes, you know what I'm saying, or you'll drown, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I don't think I'm explaining that correctly, but, you know, you can drown pretty easily in the Conclave community because people are cold-blooded out here. You know, that's one thing. That's probably never going to change. Is people always want to gut check you. People are always going to want to try to come after your title. If you're the Commons God, they're going to challenge you. If you say that you good as fuck, Karak, they're going to challenge you. There's not going to be any room for slipping up in this community. I'm sure some of you probably saw my battery is starting to die on my mobile, so I have to charge it. And I could get back to doing some of this again later. But I think I mostly, was able to kind of chat with you guys about a good number of things. And I appreciate those who have watched the VOD. And, I appreciate you guys coming out here to view this content. Once again, this has been the Comms God, Hachiro 20. Hachiro Mangetsu. That boy. And then I'm up out of the building. I'll see you guys next time.